Good morning, everyone. This is Becky with Branson Hill 100. Thank you for joining me this morning. What I want to do today is a tag that Mary with Glitzy Fritzy. Shout out to Mary. She's a character, isn't she? Gotta love her. I'm doing a My First tag. And the first question is, do you still talk to your first love? Yes, I do. I talk to my first love, who is my husband. So yes, we still talk. He was my first love. What was your first job? I worked with my uncle when I was about like 10, 11, 12 at little curb markets. He used to own this huge curb market. We was down from the south, so if you're from there, you know what I'm talking about. But it's where fruit and vegetables and plants and things like that are for sale just at a curb market or a curb stand, or we always called it a curb market. But that was my first job, and the pay was just little of nothing, but I would consider that my first job. What was your first car? Question number 3. My first car was a 1970 Chevy Nova. My grandmother bought it for me, and I drove it to school. We lived sort of out in the country, out of the city limits, and I would drive it into school. Okay, number 4. Who was the first person who texted you today? It was a friend of mine. He texted me a little picture of a cat. He knows I like cats, and so occasionally I'll get a text with cat pictures on it. Number 5. Who was the first person you thought of this morning? I would probably say it was my son. He's in the process of building a house. No, not a house. A house comes next. He's in the process of building a workshop. And he's been having trouble with the trusses, and so my husband's been helping. And I just happened to wonder this morning what my son was going to do today, helping my husband. Number 5. No, number 6. Who was your first grade teacher? Miss Burt Bickler. She was my first grade teacher. Yeah. Where did you go on your first plane ride? Went to Las Vegas with a couple of friends of ours. That's been as recent probably as maybe 7 years ago. But that was my first plane ride. Went there and had a fabulous time. Number 8. Who was your best friend, and do you still talk to him or her? Yeah, my best friend was a girl named Beverly. I was friends with her for quite a few years, but no, I no longer talk to her. We just got out of touch, and that was back down south when I lived there, and now we've moved, and so I just never hear from her. Where was your first sleepover? I would have to say that would be at my grandmother's. Me, my younger sister, and my 2 cousins would spend the night with her, and she'd make us a pallet in an extra room, and we'd sleep in there. I'd say sleep. We never slept. We just stayed up giggling and talking and trying to dance and just talking about one thing and the other, and had just such a great time. So I'm going to say that was my first sleepover. Who was the first person you talked to today? That would be my husband. Whose wedding were you in for the first time? I don't believe I've ever been in a wedding. Um, I kind of want to think, it does seem like I have been in one, just back when I was little, but I can't remember it, so I'm just going to say I've never been in one. What was the first thing you did this morning? I turned on my computer and checked for email, for YouTube messages. Then I turned on the coffee. Well, first I turned on the computer, then I went and turned on the coffee. Then I came back and checked for messages. Yeah. What was the first concert you ever went to? This was in another tag, and I answered it wrong in that other tag. The first concert that I've been to was Chris Christopherson and Rita Coolidge. This has been years ago. I didn't even have children then, we didn't. So, yeah, that was some time ago, and we enjoyed it. We had fun. We went with my sister and her boyfriend, and yeah, that's what we did. First broken bone? I've never had a broken bone. First piercing? My first piercing were my ears. I have one piercing in each ear, no other piercings at all. First foreign country. Not been out of the country. We don't want to go out of the country, really. First movie you remember seeing in the theaters? Now, this is going to go back a long time ago. But we used to go to the movies when I was a little girl. My mother worked. She would give us money to go to the movies. And the first one I remember seeing was Help, with the Beatles in it. And I remember enjoying that so much, and I loved the Beatles, and it was a cheesy movie, but at the time I really did like it. When was your first detention? I've never got detention. I was pretty quiet in school and minding my own business and just kind of, anyway, I never had detention. Who was your first roommate? That would be my friend Beverly. We decided when we were 18 years old we wanted to move out of from our parents. So we rented an apartment, and it didn't last long. We probably wasn't gone 2 months, but that was my first roommate. What was the first lesson you ever took? That would have to be art lessons, and I just recently took those about 5 years ago. I didn't do good. The class was already in session when I started. It had been in session for probably about 2 days. And when I called about it, the lady said, "Yeah, sure, come on." But she was the one that was in charge, and they were already in session, so I really didn't get to pick up on much. But that was my first lessons. Who was the first beauty-related person you watched? I'm assuming this is on YouTube. And the first beauty-related person I watched was Trisha Paytas. I watched her for a real long time. I used to like to watch her. So that was the last question. And I had real fun doing this. And I am going to tag Natalie. No, not Natalie. What is her name? Can't remember. Well, I can tag Natalie with Beauty Diva, and I Oh, and the other one I wanted to tag was Louise Gardner. I'd like to see her do this tag. And I don't know how to link yet and all that, so I can't leave their web address because I haven't learned to do that yet. I'm still kind of new at it and hoping I'll pick up on that one day. But this has been a real fun tag, and I hope Natalie may have already done this tag. That's why I kind of hesitated. But if she hasn't done it, I tag you, Natalie. And Louise, I tag you. I'm interested to hear y'all's questions. So it's a fun tag. So I'm going to go now, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my video. I would appreciate it very much. So have a great day. Bye-bye.